It is always our pleasure on a Monday to decipher things with Donte Whitner, the hitman. Make sure you're following him on social media at Donte Whitner and watching all his great stuff before and after all 49ers game. The former 49er joins us. We'll talk a ton of defense, but it was really a team effort. Special teams let them down, offense, defense. It was a whole team loss as they lose again in Minnesota and haven't won there since 1992. And Donte joins us courtesy of the Uma guest line. And oh, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube and Twitter, or excuse me, YouTube and Twitch, you can see Donte. Oh, no, yeah, you're going Trent Williams today, man. You got the tank on today, dude.
Yeah, I got the tank just leaving the gym. You guys like that?
Yeah, the gun show. You got the gun show, bro.
Let me see the nails.
Tell them if they need me back there to play safety, I can come back and play on court.
They need you. They need you.
I can do it.
You would have covered that differently.
Yeah,
you
I would have covered that differently.
You got to help us with the just. Let's start. There are a couple of blown coverages on the touchdown to Naylor, but let's start. Justin Jefferson, they didn't have a corner aligned over him. Charvarius Ward checked the crosser on Jalen Naylor, and George Odom and Jair Brown were in tandem. Just tell me about how two safeties covered the best wide receiver in football on a vertical, and what went wrong on that play, Donte.
Well, usually when you give zone alignments, because they had two wide receivers to the left, two tight ends backside that they were going to keep in protection. Usually when you put a safety to that side, you're playing zone. So it tells me that Nick Sorensen and the defensive staff was trying to fool Sam Darnold into thinking they were playing zone. Okay, now you have a rush. They slid the protection opposite Nick Bosa, left him one-on-one, but Sam Darnold has so much time in the pocket, and it's nothing on the coverage. You know what? I really put this on the defensive coordinator, because throughout my career, from learning from Vic Fangio and Ed Donatel, you never really double a receiver, whether it's a corner and a safety, whether it's two safeties. You don't double them so that he can run through the defense. If you're going to double the number one receiver, you put a corner in front to get their hands on him and impede his progress, and then you put a safety 25 yards deep to that side of the field. You put Odom to the side of the tight ends, and you put Diamador Lenore over to the side of the two receivers, and you just move that safety back, and you have Charvarius Ward and you have Diamador Lenore playing man coverage underneath with a safety over the top. What they were trying to do is have Odom play the vertical and the outside routes, and then they had Jair Brown sitting 17 yards backside on the hash, believing that a deep over route was going to come. Well, what they did was shot him directly up the seam. There's no real double team there, and when he's running unimpeded, and he ran 4.41 at the combine, I don't know if a guy like Jair Brown is running 4.6 is going to be able to stop that guy running unimpeded through the defense. And once he got a step on him, it was just you might as well just strike up the band. So I will put that on Nick Sorensen. That was very unsound of the way that they played that defense, and Justin Jefferson and Sam Darnold made them pay.
All right, and obviously that was a 14-point swing because they got stopped at the 1-yard line, then they turn around 2 plays later and get that play. It's one thing to get beat like that, and you just described it perfectly, and I love that you're on the video because you got the hand gyrations. I love this whole thing. But then to not make a play, to not get him down at that point so that at least your defense can go, okay, deep breath, we get him down at the 30 or 35-yard line and then play some more defense, keep him out of the end zone or something. But, they completely blew after the play. You got 2 guys back there against Justin Jefferson. You got to make a tackle.
Well, you have to be fundamentally sound first. So no matter what the defense is, if Jair Brown is doing what he's supposed to do, and you have sense of urgency and you have a back pedal, and you're not just standing there on the 20-yard line flat-footed without backpedaling, you could potentially stop this play and get him down there and let the defense live to play another play. But he was sitting backside just flat-footed as if this guy was just going to run the route directly into him. He went straight up the hash. By the time Jair Brown decided to react, he thought the ball was coming to the front side hash. That play is designed to go to the backside hash. And again, you have a guy running 4.41 through the middle of the defense, like 2 ships passing in the night. And it was just a perfect scenario, perfect protection from their offensive line, and just an absolute dime of a throw from Sam Darnold. But there is ways that he can stop it.
Yeah, 97 yards later. That's the longest pass play the Niners have ever given up in their history. Right after that, George Odom was taken out of the game. George did come back into the game later. But your guy, Malik Mustafa, came in at that point. The Niners were on defense for 54 snaps yesterday. Malik wound up playing 31 of them. George Odom played 23, and he did come back later. There was a plan, though, to play Malik at some point. You're tight with Malik. You've come on the last couple of shows and spoken how you're watching film with him and video. What was the plan for Malik in yesterday's game? Do you know? And then proceeding forward, Donte, I think Talanoa Hufanga is going to come back for next week's game against the L.A. Rams. So Jair's going to keep his spot. How do you think they rotate the other safeties with Hufanga and Mustafa? And what was the plan for playtime yesterday with Malik Mustafa as far as you know?
Well, the playtime for Malik Mustafa and the plan is to always remain ready. They drafted you at that position for a reason. And going into the season, I said that the safeties for the 49ers was probably the weakness on the defense, and that's what the Minnesota Vikings attacked. So with Odom and with Jair Brown, I don't know if these guys are solidified right now as starters. And in the National Football League, once you put something on film, you're going to have to stop it, or plays that are similar to that. You're gonna see those plays until you stop it. So I think Malik Mustafa just has to remain ready, and when he does take the field, make sure that you're fundamentally sound. You know what's going on. You can communicate at a high level, because there were too many times yesterday where there was supposed to be a quarterback of the defense moving guys around. Hey, you take the point guy. You're outside. You're inside, and they didn't do that. They didn't communicate at a high level, and it cost them at major moments in the game. So for Malik Mustafa is to always remain ready. Nothing is solidified back there in the safety position right now.
Donte Whitner is joining us. You can also see Donte on YouTube right now and Twitch. He's on the video as well, having just worked out. Looks very similar. I wouldn't want to embarrass you and take my shirt off too, because, Shavarius Ward said after the game that he would have liked the challenge of taking on Jefferson one-on-one. With the uncertainty with the safeties, do you change anything up? Because you're coming up in the next few weeks. I don't know if Cooper Kupp's going to play. Marvin Harrison Jr. went off. You got DK Metcalf in Seattle coming up, the Chiefs. I mean, do you run him against the number one, or do you just keep doing what you're doing?
If your number one corner wants to run and cover the number one receiver, you allow him to do that. There's so many guys that would shy away from that because they know that there's going to be 10 times per game that you're going to get a pass attempt your way. And a lot of guys don't really want the onus of having to live up and man up. So I think that if he wants to do that, that's something that he should. But that really wasn't the issue yesterday. The issue was a lack of communication. The issue was a lack of leverage. The issue was just like simple things that came back to bite the 49ers in the perfect moments.
And Charvarius gave up a touchdown. I want you to break down, because I'm a little confused as to what happened there in the Jalen Naylor touchdown. They motioned the big tight end, Josh Oliver, inside, or he was actually just off the right tackle, O'Neal, and they moved Naylor inside. And then they created kind of a stack formation that confused the Niners, Jair Brown and Charvarius. And then later in the game, they motioned to a bunch formation on that very time-consuming drive, the 3rd and 3. And Justin Jefferson was out of the game, and Brandon Powell, the former Ram, more of a return guy, just ran it out, and they dropped him out of the bunch. Why were the Niners having problems dealing with those bunch formations, manning up out of the bunch on the goal line for the touchdown and that big 3rd and 3, Donte?
I'm going to go through the one in the red zone when they motion Naylor down into a position that we call insert position, where he's in between the tight end and the tackle. And usually when a Z receiver gets into that area, it's a run. He inserts, he blocks the strong safety, he blocks out, and then Charvarius Ward will fit into a run gap based on how they block it. Well, when they did it this time, Charvarius Ward, instead of burning his eyes on the outside shoulder of the insert guy and making sure that he was actually blocking before you take steps forward, he just took steps forward, and it's a classic, day one insert from Kyle Shanahan in the offense is Z insert, fake pass.
Was he
fake play
fooled
action
on the hard play
for the
action
ball.
by Darnold, Donte? Did he bite on that play action too much?
Well, yeah, anybody's going to be fooled when you're staring in the backfield and you're responsible for a wide receiver. So if you're staring in the backfield and you can see the fake to the running back, you're dead wrong as a coverage player. And a great defensive back coach told me years ago, if you are playing man coverage and you're staring at the quarterback and you can see the handoff, only thing you're going to do is watch him complete passes and touchdowns. And that's exactly what happened on that play. It's an easy fix, but it just shows you if you're not locked in and focused on any different game, you can be beaten on any different Sunday. And then there was another one, the bunch route, 3rd and 7. You had Travarius Ward on the point. They had a funny-looking bunch route where they had the receiver at number 3, and then they gave a short motion really quickly before the snap where he motioned to number 1 like a true bunch, and what you had was Isaac Yedem and Diamador Lenore. You have to be definitive in what you do in the secondary. Travarius Ward is locked on the point. Okay, Diamador Lenore, you're on the inside guy. Yedem, you're on the outside guy, no matter how they do it. If you have a call to where you're doing an in and out with the inside and the outside guy, Diamador Lenore, once the ball is snapped and they figure out how they're going to come out in the route, you sit inside, take the inside route, and then Yedem, you keep leverage on the outside. Well, with Diamador Lenore not really knowing what he's going to do, he almost motioned out before the snap and took Yedem's man, and then last minute he decided, I'm going to take the inside guy. So while Yedem was trying to make him right and take the inside guy, Travarius Ward's man took a vertical release. They got an outside release, and then Yedem was out leveraged to the flat. It's one of the easiest things to correct as a secondary, but when they give you that quick short motion and you forget the call and it's a new defense, everybody's in trouble. So McConnell and Sam Darnold just took advantage of the 49ers not communicating at a high level and not playing leverage. There was another play, 3rd and 10, where I put it on the defensive coordinator as well. He had dime personnel on the field. They took off. One of the linebackers kept Fred Warner out there.
They actually played 4 corners on the field. They were going dime yesterday, Donte. They brought in Ronaldo Green, and they played 4 corners.
I think that was a mistake. I think you stay nickel there and allow those underneath defenders who are used to running with the number 3 wide receiver up the middle of the field and keeping that proper distance so that the safeties can break in that cover too. You had Isaac Yedem there playing the role of Fred Warner as the middle read, and you have Fred Warner playing backside to the tight end as the seam player. I think that was a mistake. In a critical moment, you stick to what you do. You keep the players out there who are used to playing those type of routes. You don't match their wide receivers just because you have 6 defensive backs. That doesn't mean that they're going to play it properly. That's why they didn't get off the field there. So I put that on Nick Sorensen as well. Interchanging players. I've never seen Yedem play that position during training camp, the first game of the season, or this game, and it came back to bite him in that big moment.
Donte Whitner doing a great job breaking down some of the defensive problems for the 49ers yesterday. And again, overall, on 3rd down, the Vikings were 7 for 12. They were 3 for 4 on that drive. And you mentioned just a couple of those plays when they got the game-clinching field goal to make it 23-14 with just about 3 minutes left. Just big picture, there was a lot of sloppiness. Some of it can be attributed. They're not playing guys in the preseason, whatever the case may be. But long-term, the biggest thing going on right now is Christian McCaffrey is going to miss at least the next 4 weeks and possibly longer. How big of a deal is that? And what did we see offensively where you went, oh, man, if they had Christian McCaffrey, they could have fixed something there? What did you see?
Well, I think it's a huge deal what they're doing with Christian McCaffrey and placing him on IR. The last time we saw a player have calf issues, Achilles issues, try to be rested, come back for the playoffs, was Dre Greenlaw, and he snapped that and ruptured that Achilles in the Super Bowl. That's a similar situation to what Christian McCaffrey is dealing with now. So the 49ers are learning from the past. They're not going to put one of their premier household names out there in harm's way. Sometimes you have to protect the alpha from himself. With the 49ers offense, I felt like they didn't finish in the red zone. There were multiple times where they could have exploited that defense just a little bit better. I thought there were times when Brock Purdy played a little bit slow, and there were times when Brian Flores really tricked Kyle Shanahan because this is early in the season. Kyle doesn't really have the data to lean on to know what you're going to run on 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd and long, and they did a lot of switch-ups. They were running man routes sometimes when they were just dropping 4-man rush, dropping cover 2. Man routes don't really work with cover 2. And then a lot of times they were running zone routes when they were playing man coverage. So a lot of times Brian Flores was one step ahead of Kyle Shanahan, and this usually happens with Kyle and a lot of great offensive coaches early in the season when you get a lot of unscouted looks and you're not prepared because you don't have enough data to be able to attack defenses. But with the LA Rams this week and Sean McVay and the way that they play defense, Kyle knows how to attack that defense perfectly, so they'll get back on track this week. It's just teams that they're not accustomed to seeing that really do some unorthodox things on defense.
And the reason they were so poor on third down is they were not good on first and second down. They got into so many third and longs in the game. It just kind of played into their hand, which speaks to, what Flores was doing on the early downs. And then I think Kyle going into the game thought it would be hard to run the ball based on what happened last year. I mean, 3 and out to open the game. All 3 were passes. 7 of the first 8 play calls were passes. But eventually they got back to J.P. Mason. And, man, did he run hard. He had 20 carries for 100 yards, scored the Niner touchdown. I know how much you like him. You're comparing him to Beast Mode, the other guy to wear number 24 on 49ers Postgame Live. I am wearing my Yak Bros, which is yards after catch. But back in the day, it used to be yards after contact. And this guy, I mean, he had 13 tackles broken against the Jets. I didn't see the numbers for this game, Donte and John. But just as a pure running back, how good is J.P. Mason right now, Donte?
Man, the sky's the limit, and he has everything that you can ask for, and he even stepped up in pass protection. A lot of those, runs weren't blocked properly, and you continue to see him surge through contact. And the biggest compliment you can give any running back is when you watch the defense, is there guys that don't want to get off blocks to make a tackle, or there guys that are not running full speed to the football in hopes of and that somebody else tackle him first? You're seeing a lot of that with J.P. Mason, with Mason, and that's what you saw with Beast Mode. And he said it. He's going to run into you over and over and over and over until you submit. And that's the type of runner that Jordan Mason is. And when they get Christian McCaffrey back, they'll have a dominant 1-2 punch. They'll have guys that can do it all, step up in pass protection, but also punish the defense and do what Kyle Shanahan ultimately wants to do. That's run the ball 40 times per game. So as long as he continues to stay healthy and continues to surge, he's continuing to get stronger in the second half of these games.
All right, we got to let you go, but one positive thing. Fred Warner was awesome yesterday. We got to take a minute
Absolutely.
to acknowledge Fred. What did you think?
Well, throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, he's definitely up there for Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. And he's like Superman. He's so locked in and laser focused that peanut punch has just become a part of his arsenal. And even on the fumble that he created on Aaron Jones on the goal line, they ran Fred Warner off with the number 3 receiver because it was a zone blitz. He had to match up with a receiver that was running vertical. Know that they're running a screen backside. Hurry up and get over there, punch the football out. That's why it looks like he just came out of nowhere. He was actually in coverage, covering a wide receiver. Had another forced fumble on the Sam Darnold, and he should have had 2 interceptions. Early in the game, he was covering Aaron Jones brilliantly, jumped underneath, similar to the way that he intercepted the second pass off of Sam Darnold. So Fred Warner is everywhere. The game has slowed down just so much, and I agree with Robert Saleh. Right now, Fred Warner is really on the verge of cracking it into the Hall of Fame.
I agree, man. He looked incredible yesterday. I mean, he was really
Absolutely.
good. Good stuff, man. You're looking good. You got to go get like a protein shake or something or what?
I might have a couple boiled eggs and some salmon.
Very
The
nice.
nails look
you
really
gotta get
good.
the protein,
Donte.
man. Yeah, what'd you
Yeah,
do? You used to do a Manny Petty there too?
You got one.
Yeah,
We were talking to him on
to a
Fridays
spa.
in Dallas. Remember?
Oh,
Spa?
yeah, that's right. How was that? I was
It
jealous.
was excellent. I think the Ritz-Carlton has the best masseuse in the world.
Is that right?
Man, I don't know what I'm telling you.
Oh.
It's just awesome.
That is the best, man. It's the best. All right, man. Thanks for the insight. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you guys next week.
Thank
Have a
you,
great one.
man.